C5 Insight is a Microsoft partner that plans, builds, and supports solutions in Dynamics 365, Teams, SharePoint, and the Power Platform. Contact us to modernize your business today.
Hi, and welcome everyone who is filing in. Today, we have our fourth Copilot for Sales Bootcamp. My name's Haley, and I will be your webinar moderator. A few housekeeping items before we jump in. This bootcamp is 15 minutes of concentrated content, and today's topic is collaborating internally and externally with Copilot for Sales. We welcome your questions throughout the presentation. You can submit your questions by clicking the Q&A icon at the top of your screen. And we encourage you to stay tuned after the presentation for a 30-minute roundtable discussion with Prachi Mishra from Microsoft and our C5 Insight team while we'll answer your questions. Jordan, I will pass it over to you.
Great, thank you, Haley. And hello, everybody. My name is Jordan. I am a consultant here at C5 Insight, and I'm going to be leading our session today all around collaborating internally and externally in your organization using Copilot for Sales. So kicking things off with a quick agenda here with some of the different topics we'll be jumping into, starting with account teams, how to set them up and the different features involved with those, taking that one step further into deal rooms and similar with the setup and features there. And then finally, how we take those rooms and teams we just set up and use Copilot for Sales to further enhance the collaboration that we're able to do within those spaces. To start, let's take a look at account teams. Now, when we're looking through the presentation today, I'm looking at this from understanding that not only is collaborating internally with your peers, your leadership important, but being able to have seamless collaboration with your customers, with your distributors can be just as important, if not more important, to ensure that your business is running efficiently. So we're going to be looking at account teams to start. And what is an account team? So this is a feature that Copilot for Sales inside of Outlook is going to automatically offer up when you open up your Copilot for Sales panel, which we'll see in just a moment. And it's going to automatically generate a couple collaboration spaces within Teams for you to internally use and externally use for each one of your external collaborators you need to be working with. So we're going to watch a quick demo here together and then take a look at how some of those features can help improve your collaboration.
To create the account team in Outlook, she opens her most recent email from Amy, and she opens Copilot for Sales. Since she previously tracked this communication in CRM, she can now see information from CRM within Outlook. Now she navigates down to the Collaborate in Teams section, mouses over Contoso, and clicks the Setup Account Team button. She knows that Copilot will use the account team template to create an account team for collaborating with team members inside her organization and their customer outside their organization. She briefly reviews what the template will contain when the team is created, and then chooses Create a New Team. During the account team setup, she gets recommendations for team members to add based on the CRM account owner, members of the account team, and users the account is shared with. She's also reminded that a shared channel will be created. She knows once it's complete, she will be able to invite her internal team members and the outside customer organization team members to collaborate.
Great. So as you guys saw there, when you are using that Copilot for Sales feature, it's automatically going to give you the option to have both your internal team collaboration, just the people that you want involved in that in the collaboration space and that Teams channel. But it's also going to create that shared channel for you to then add any of those external people that you need involved in the conversation. And we all know that Teams is a fantastic platform for chat and for some of your meetings, but this is going to improve so much more having these dedicated spaces for each one of your clients. Maybe not everyone, just some of your most important clients or some of the most pressing projects that you guys are working on. But it's going to give you that chat feature, obviously, but it's going to allow you to have your shared files for that one client or distributor all in one place. Allows you to have better organization around the different shared meetings that you're all going to be attending for those different projects that you need the internal and external communication on together. And it's just going to help reduce a lot of those emails coming in rather than having to rely on long email threads back and forth. You and everybody you need collaborating, whether it's internal or external users, are going to have this one platform and this one space to have everything contained across your messaging and more. So after we create those account teams and have the separate channels set up that are shared and internal, we could look at taking that one step further with deal rooms. So with account teams, we saw that creation and setup within the Copilot for Sales panel, and that's basing it off of just an account that you have within CRM. Deal rooms is doing a pretty similar feature, but rather than an account level that it's going to be building off of, you're going to be able to set this up using specific opportunities instead. So taking that collaboration space and making it just a little more specific for a deal that you have in the work. So let's take a look at how we set that up. And then also we'll have another quick demo around some of the different details and features found within deal rooms specifically.
Now that Paige has created the account team, she can create a deal room using the deal room template. To create the deal room, in Outlook, she opens her most recent email from Amy. Then she opens Copilot for Sales and scrolls to the Collaborate in Teams section. There, she mouses over the company name and sees the Set Up Another Team button, and then mouses over the opportunity and clicks the Set Up a Deal Room button. She knows that Copilot will use the deal room template to create a channel for collaborating with team members inside her organization. Here, she clicks the Use Existing Team button and then selects the team from the list provided to her. She then clicks Next. Here, she is reminded a standard internal channel will be created, meaning it will be automatically shared with all internal users on this team, and that a shared channel will be created. She knows once complete, she will be able to invite her internal team members and the outside customer organization team members to that channel to collaborate.
So as we can see there, very similar process to setting up the account team, but since we had an opportunity under that account, we were able to create that dedicated collaboration space around the opportunity, and even doing it within the already created account team that we saw in the previous step. So let's take a look at some of those features found within the deal room that are really going to elevate your sales process and help ensure that the deals you want closing are closing effectively and on time.
Posting and discussing the opportunity through chat is not the only thing this team can now do with the new deal room. With the deal room template, a folder structure, and OneNote are created in the Customer Opportunity Deal Room channel so that the internal team members can easily share information with external customer team members, and the external customer can do the same. For the internal team, the deal room template creates a separate area for posts, a folder structure, notes, the Dynamics opportunity record, and a CRM OneNote associated with the CRM record. This gives the internal team a place where they can easily manage internal communications and files prior to sharing them with the external customer team members. in the externally shared opportunity customer deal room channel.
Great. And now with that, you can see not only is account teams going to give you those great general places to be collaborating with those external users that need the more constant support from you and your internal team, but taking that one step further by building the deal rooms within those teams gives you a central place to keep all of the important documents, communication, and your CRM tied in directly, all in one place to really make sure that you're not having to juggle between a lot of different applications. It can streamline that sales process for you. And on top of some of the features we just saw there, thanks to the AI capabilities of Copilot for Sales, you can also see some general Copilot summaries, like in the screenshot shown, that are going to give you some quick bite-sized summaries of the different opportunities that you currently have going. So that way you can get caught up to speed and anybody involved should be able to see the summary and jump right into the conversations. And now that we saw some ways that we can set up dedicated collaboration spaces, whether it's generalized just for the account or more specific for the different opportunities you have with them, we'll take a look at just some more collaboration features that are found throughout the Microsoft 365 and Dynamics stack using Copilot for Sales that can really continue to elevate and enhance your collaboration, whether it's in those dedicated spaces or just using them in your day-to-day. So to start, let's take a look at how using Copilot for Sales can enhance some of your email, chat, and post collaborations.
D365 Sales for Copilot allows users to share CRM records within email, Teams chat, and Teams posts. Let's see what that looks like. First, in an email, Paige needs to send a quick email to Jordan to bring him up to speed on their new prospect, Contoso. She opens Copilot for Sales, clicks on Search, types in the name of the opportunity. When it is returned, she clicks on the name, and data from CRM is added to the email. Now, if Paige needs to instead send a chat to, let's say, Jordan and Jeff, the process is only slightly different. In Teams in a chat, she clicks on the plus, chooses Copilot for Sales. Since she recently looked at this record, it is available to her, so she's going to choose this opportunity, and she'll hit send.
Great, and we're going to look at one more demo, just highlighting how some of those features we just saw across our communication platforms like Outlook and Teams can also be used within the meeting space in Teams too. So no matter where that collaboration is taking place, you're going to be able to take advantage of some of these great Copilot for Sales AI features.
Copilot for Sales can also be utilized when in a Teams meeting tracked to a CRM record. To show you how this functionality works, I'm going to click on the Teams icon in this tracked meeting. To see how this works, we're going to click on this Teams meeting icon to join the meeting. Notice, because we have tracked this meeting to CRM, we have this Dynamics 365 icon. When we click on the D365 icon, the sidecar opens to the record this meeting is tracked to. This is slightly different than the other functionality we've seen, as we can modify this on the fly. And add things like tasks, review activities, and navigate to other records, editing them along the way.
Great. So as we could see before we hand it off to Haley for our next steps, using Copilot for Sales, whether it's in specific collaboration spaces like account teams or deal rooms, or just using some of these great features across the many ways that you collaborate and communicate in the day-to-day, can really enhance not only that collaboration, but also your sales process overall. So with that, I'm going to be passing it over to Haley for our next steps.
Struggling to leverage Microsoft Enterprise solutions? At C5 Insight, we understand the intersection between technology, business, and people. Contact us to learn more.
All right, so we are moving into our roundtable with Prachi Mishra from Microsoft. We have Jordan Loeffler here from C5 Insight, and then Jeff Abels, also from C5 Insight. And we are going to jump into some frequently asked questions, discussions, some things that you guys asked during the webinar. And the first thing that John has here was recapping what customers can access versus the internal team in the deal room. And I know, Prachi, you've been in the Q&A, like commenting for people, but in case people have not been in the Q&A and have seen your answers, I want to kind of go through some of these. So his example was, can the internal team discuss content without the customer having access to it?
So that's a great question. And I know I answered in the Q&A, but I can elaborate. So an account team template is applied to that team level and is linked to that CRM account as you saw in the demo. And it comes with two channels in Teams, general and shared. The general channel is designed for collaboration with people inside your organization. And that share channel is for collaboration with people outside your organization, such as customers. So apps like OneNote and Files and those starter folders can be pinned at the top as well. But that's the delineation between the two.
And to add on to that a little bit, what we saw in the video, I think highlighted well some of the ways that you are choosing which one of your internal people are going to be in the more private of the channels. But any external users that you're adding does have to be manually done after the fact. So you have complete control over which external people are being added in. And it's not going to just automatically pull in contacts from that account level. So you still have quite a bit of oversight as to who's seeing what and where they're going as far as the channels are.
Okay. Were you about to say something? Okay, so on that note, with security, we have talked about this in the past, and for those of you who haven't been part of the previous sessions here, we are going to post FAQs so that we're not re-explaining them on all of the sessions for those who do know the answer. But Prachi, could you just give a really quick overview about the security that Microsoft puts into Copilot?
Absolutely. And that's a question that we're asked a lot of times by our customers. So Microsoft is committed to its data privacy policy, and it doesn't use any of its customer data to train these large language models that are running Copilot. All customer data is backed by enterprise-grade security. And I actually have attached a link in the Q&A, which I know Haley will also include on the landing page. But that goes deeper into how Copilot for Sales is secure. And you're only allowed to see in Copilot for Sales what your credentials allow you to see. So you can rest assured it's backed by enterprise-grade security, and you can only view what your credentials allow you to.
If I could comment on that too, a little perspective on it. First of all, I can't give any more commentary on what Microsoft's overall security policy is on this, but the concern is not unlike some concerns we had in the past from some clients, and frankly, we still have from some, not related to Copilot, but even related to going to the cloud, right? And this idea of, look, our data is living in someone else's cloud. It's not in our personal environment. I'm concerned about the security offered by Microsoft there versus how well we can secure things on our own internal servers wherever we choose to host those. And I think time has now given pretty solid evidence to that. It's in general, you have a huge security team at Microsoft protecting the security of your data that's hosted in the Microsoft cloud. And when you're in your own data center, you're limited to the knowledge and the time available from your relatively small data security team to be able to secure that information. And even the physical security of the physical storage devices that information is on is probably more challenging for you to protect than the physical security of massive server farms with incredible security protocols and that kind of stuff in place. So I wouldn't say, hey, there's nothing to worry about. We hear that security gets breached now and then at different places all the time. But I would say that Microsoft is probably very, very well suited to manage the security of your data and to live up to the promises that they've documented well and even actually agreed to on some of these things.
Yeah, and I think that gives peace of mind for users, especially compared to ChatGPT, where you cannot say the same. And there's kind of two parts to this, right? Like, Microsoft does not use the data to train its model. And then, like you said, Prachi, you're only allowed to access what your CRM credentials allow you to. So even within that, you have very specific parameters that you can put around Copilot, whether it's like internally, externally, people being invited to this deal room, this account team, et cetera. So there is a lot of control that you have over Copilot when you're using it, which I think is helpful and important to keep in mind.
Probably the bottom line is, do you want to use AI? Because any AI is only going to be as good as the data that it's integrated against. That data is also going to need to live somewhere. And so, how do you prioritize that against some of your security concerns and those kinds of things? But there are very few AIs that are really, really strong that you install on on-premise servers and integrate with the data there, right? So it's a business decision of the value of AI, and then the best way to manage the security is you extract that value that I think almost every business is going to find they need to be extracting that value to remain competitive just over the next 2 or 3 years even.
Mm-hmm.
I think too,
I'm
when
probably
looking at this,
that. Go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say, I think like at a high level too, when I think this, I always go back to how I feel about just using the Microsoft platform all up. Is there a competitor? Sure. But I think that using the Microsoft stack across the board is going to provide a lot of interconnectivity that you just aren't going to get if you're using more a la carte platforms across the board. So not only is a lot of these collaboration features going to be able to be used across the many different applications that you use in the day-to-day, but the policies, the roles, all of that you have set up in your platform already is going to extend into the security aspect of AI and any other new software you're getting from the Microsoft suite because of how interlinked all of this is. So it really just adds another layer to the pretty robust software systems that they have over there and the ways that everything works together seamlessly.
Thanks for that. Now getting into a specific question about account teams. If somebody has tried to use account teams in deal rooms, but they have not been successful at adding a guest user, is there an easy answer for how to do that? Now that we're good with the security protocol here, I'm like ready to add a guest user. How do I do it?
I can take that one if you'd like me to.
Yeah.
Please do.
I'll take a first shot at that one. So yeah, adding guest users to a shared channel on a team, even if it's not one of the ones created here, right? If you just create a regular Microsoft team and add a shared channel to it, that's essentially what Copilot in this case is doing for you. Those shared channels, if you want to add guest users to those, you actually need to go establish what's called a B2B trust. So basically, you'd have to say something like, hey, I'm C5 Insight. This is my domain, c5insight.com, and I trust Contoso.com's domain, right? So I'm allowed to add users from there. They're allowed to add users from here. That is something a system administrator needs to do for you, right? So that's an extra layer of security so that just your ordinary user can't go in and just kind of start spinning up teams and sharing data with people outside your organization. You need to make sure you have a process for, if you want to do that, you need to be able to make that request internally to create that trust between you and another organization. And once that trust is established on the back end, and it sounds like, wow, is that a big deal? It's something you go into Microsoft Entra, the identity management software for security. You do a few things, the person on the other end does a few things, and now your two environments trust each other. And then you can go add users whenever you need to between you and that organization. You want to do it with a new organization, have to go do that same thing with that organization.
Yes, to add to that, everything Jeff said is absolutely correct. And as you can see, that's just another component to the security that Microsoft has around Copilot capabilities. And with that, I guess what I want to add is there's a lot of documentation that's pretty simple to follow on how to set this up and make sure it works. So I've popped that into the Q&A if you'd like to see a visual of how you can link these teams and channels in Outlook or your CRM and be able to get started on them right away.
Yeah, thanks for that resource. I'll have to grab that after this. When that actually brings up a question when you're talking about like linking teams and channels. So for some, well, I would say for most organizations, probably they have a structured approach to SharePoint and Microsoft Teams and how they're being used, or hopefully they do. But account teams and deal teams might not really align with that. So how can they make these functionalities align better to their architecture? Do you guys have kind of some recommendations there?
So that's a good question. Copilot for Sales is rapidly innovating, and there's a lot of new features coming out every single month. And I think you bring up a great point, Haley, that Teams and SharePoint are some of the platforms that a lot of our customers use. They are very flexible. So you have multiple options. If you want to fine tune it more to your organization's data, you can actually work with an implementation partner, or you could even look into creating custom Copilots, which are used in Copilot Studio. So those are the different options you have, but I definitely encourage everybody who's using Copilot for Sales to look at the release wave documentation planner that shows all of the different features that are coming, because the product team takes a lot of customer input. So I'll also pop that resource into the chat as well.
You know, another dimension of that too is I love that Microsoft is still evolving that, because as an organization that supports Microsoft 365 clients as well as Dynamics 365 clients, we get governance. We take that really seriously too. We encourage people to not let your SharePoint and Teams environments kind of get messy, get out of control, all those kinds of things. But there's also this balancing act of you want to empower your users, right? So I encourage you, as you think about those things, to think about, look, does it make more sense to set up more automated governance and monitoring to help clean things up periodically, while also giving users the agility to leverage some of these tools from Microsoft themselves, right? In other words, do you want to spend a lot of time trying to replicate what Microsoft has already given you out of the box because it doesn't work quite the way you want it to? Or can you leverage what's out of the box, but then create your own governance policies behind the scenes that that expand your boundaries a little bit and that monitor and keep that clean if it does start to get out of control over time? I know that's a little bit of a maybe tough to understand answer for some of you, but if you are concerned about that question, you probably understand exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're not, you probably don't need to worry about it because you're using it out of the box anyway.
Very good points there. So more of a simple question here. What if I don't see Copilot available at all? Like if I'm trying to do this, I'm interested in this functionality. What if I can't find it? I don't see the icon that I saw in these demos. What do I do?
So I can take that one. The one Copilot we've been focusing on in this series is Copilot for Sales, and that is a license that you need to purchase in order to be able to use it. Now, Copilot for Sales does include Microsoft 365 Copilot. So as soon as you purchase and turn on the capabilities, they should populate immediately the icon in Outlook and Teams. So you do need to purchase that. Now, I know there's also a Copilot icon in Edge, which should be free, which you can use, but it's not referring to the Copilot for Sales that we've been showing in the demos.
And to kind of separate that a little bit, with some of those features, because we've had similar questions show up in some of our past sessions here, that, you know, people might see that Copilot feature, but they're not seeing, or the Copilot button, but they're not seeing all the different things we're talking about. Like Prachi is saying, there can be these two different versions of this that may be living inside of your tenant that your organization may have. So if you are seeing that Copilot feature, but it feels a little limited compared to some of the things that we've talked about today. That might just be that difference between you guys have the Microsoft 365 Copilot versus not having Copilot for sales. Because bringing in the sales is what's going to pull in the CRM data and really be syncing with a lot of the features we were highlighting. So if you're seeing one and not the other, and you want to see the other, then it might be time to look at adding on the Copilot for sales to get all of that CRM integration as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's something too to note, even if somebody in your organization has it, you might not be the one to see the icon. They might. So it's a licensing thing, but it does come with quite a bit once you have the license for Copilot for sales, like you said, because it comes with M365 Copilot. One question from Michael that just came in that I wanted to clarify. He asked if we'll have access to the demos that were shown in the first 15 minutes that Jordan presented. If you're interested in these slides, if you'd like a download of the deck with hot links to the demos that were shown, go ahead and email Jeff or Jordan. Their emails are on the screen here, and they would be happy to send you a copy so you can get some more value out of that and watch it back, because we make these short and sweet. Don't want to waste your time, want to make sure you get as much value out of it as possible. So if you want to go back and look at it, we would be happy to send those your way. With that, I am not seeing any more questions come in. I'll let the speakers, if you guys have any last minute thing that came to mind, and you're like, oh, I just wanted to clarify. One last thing about Copilot. Anybody else have any other thoughts? Awesome.
My thought is, I'm not sure if we said it, but thank you to Paige Cassida. You heard her voice behind a lot of those videos this week. So we have a lot of different voices contributing to this. Jordan Prachi and I kind of do a lot of the presenting, with Haley doing a lot of facilitating, but there's a much deeper pool of people who bring expertise and time to it. And we're very grateful to all of them for what they've done to make this possible.
Take the team.